the Cruiserweight Classic, it's over. Well, at least it's considered the first season of it. We might have a second tournament next year, so be ready for that just in case. It was formerly going to be called the Global Cruiserweight Series, which I talked about in the previous video, and I had speculated the Cruiserweight title would be involved in this somehow, which I was correct about. Um, so this tournament was produced by WWE, but specifically created by both William Regal and Triple H, from what I heard. Um, and I could tell this was Triple H's project. This was Triple H's baby, pretty much. Like NXT's his creation, Cruiserweight Classics now his creation, and it's so odd for a lot of IWC fans because back then everyone said that Triple H was the plague of wrestling, how he was going to lead it to his destruction because he kept burying everybody during his reign of terror days. And now everyone looks at him as the savior of wrestling from the senile McMahon family of Vince. So it's surprising how people's opinion on Triple H has changed over the years since the reign of terror ended. But enough about the WWE politics and the fans' obsession for change. This was made very seriously. Like, they wanted a 205 pound limit. Like, you had to be weighed 205 pounds or less in order to participate in this tournament. Like, they were really serious about this. This wasn't just okay, this is a rule. Okay, let's just go with that. Okay, not really going to enforce it. But instead, they really wanted to be enforcing it. Like, they did videos of them taking weights and whatnot, doing the weight machine, trying to see their weight. And we also heard that wrestlers lost weight in order to get in this competition. And along with that, it involved many independent promotions such as New Japan Pro Wrestling, Revolution Pro Wrestling, Progress Wrestling, and Evolve, just to name a few, that had wrestlers that starred in these various promotions and decided to say, let's give them a chance. Like, this shows Triple H is more indie friendly, but I knew there was an ulterior motive with this tournament. Like, I knew there was going to be an ulterior motive with the announcement of SmackDown Live going, well, live, and the whole unique roster and how it's going to have a brand split at this point because it was kind of obvious. So I was like, okay, what are you going for, WWE? Oh, I got it. You're going to take this tournament to get more cruiserweights, and especially since Stephanie had announced on Raw that there will be a cruiserweight division. So yeah, I saw that coming. I saw that they were going to use this tournament to get cruiserweight guys to come to WWE. And the plan worked. Like, they got a bunch of the cruiserweights in this tournament. However, there was a lot of things that surprised me. Like, I thought for sure when I first heard this tournament that it was going to get guys from the independent scene, and then they would let a WWE guy mow right through them. Like, but one of my favorites. Like, here's the thing. Like, if Vince McMahon was in charge of this project, he would have had a WWE guy or a former employee win that tournament. I'm just certain of it. But instead, what we got was indie guys running the shows. Like, yeah, the WWE guys were talented, but but I'm pretty sure people would have complained saying that Vince was involved in this and he ruins everything. And like with the Brian Kendrick character, also known as Brian Kendrick, Daniel Bryan's best friend. Oh, let's get to the commentary. I'll get to the commentary in a moment. We got Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Justin Matthew, I think Rich Swann, or I think I kind of haven't been watching NXT as much because it's taped and I can watch it and I could just watch it later on the WWE Network. But it was, and now let's get to the commentary. Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan. When they announced this, I was like saying, that's it. Call it quits, everybody. The commentary war is over. We just found the two best commentators in the world. Like, I knew they were going to be serious about this. Like, Dan Bryan loves wrestling. Mauro Ranallo is not forced to be something he's not, like Michael Cole is. My God, what happened to you? So I was like, okay, they just won the commentary war. Like, now we have the best commentary team ever. Like, if you had Corey Grace to it, I will say you obliterated everything. But this is a great, like, add Corey Graves to it and you will be perfect. And they added Corey Graves to it, but it wasn't commentary. He was part of a panel he would host during the Cruiserweight Classic. So I was like, okay, yep, you listen to our feedback. Like, this is the greatest tournament already. Like, you got talented cruiserweights, you got a lot of big names, a lot of familiar names for independent fans. You're treating this seriously. It's not just a tournament for, well, let's just do it. You're taking this actually seriously. You put legit commentaries. You made everything about it feel different. Like, the format was different. Like, it was taking place in Full Sail University, so you would expect the crowd to be, well, passionate, because nowadays casual fans, when it comes to big live attendance, like, is very sad. Like, they didn't even freak out when Evolution reunited, and I'm never letting that go because that was the saddest moment I ever saw. Well, that was until the whole Seth Rollins is going to break Edge's neck, and no one reacted to that. And I lived near that place. That was sad. So I knew they would thrive with this. So I was like, okay, we got all the necessary formulas. You got taking this seriously, Triple H, William Regal, commentators that actually give a crap, and the independent fans. Did I mention Triple H was added to this? Okay. Now, the two favorites I was hearing, like, I heard reports going around and around that part of this tournament was to get Kota Ibushi to sign a contract with WWE because they wanted him to join since he's a freelancer now and taking independent signings. And the other one was Zack Sabre Jr. Like, he was favored to win this tournament. And I'm pretty sure that was the plan. However, as more and more when the whole cruiserweight division was announced, I noticed who was getting selected. Like, they were all independent guys. Like, there were a few, like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Brian Kendrick were joining in on the cruiserweight division on Raw. But then I noticed more of the indie wrestlers were getting signed. And I was thinking, like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now that they haven't, and since they finally announced the final members of the Cruiserweight division, it's not going to be Kota Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr. as everybody had hoped for. Like, so I was, like, disappointed about that because I really wanted to see that match. But I stuck to my guns thinking, like, okay, maybe they might still do this. Like, maybe they'll still do it. Like, I don't recall, like, except for Rey Mysterio, they haven't made it seriously for a masked luchador wrestler. Unless you count Sin Cara, but they gave up after 3 months. And Kalisto, they gave up instantaneously. On the main roster, at least. So, yeah, back to the topic. Man, I forgot what I was just saying. Okay, like, um, I'm trying to remember his name. Grand Metalik. I thought, okay, he's gonna get eliminated, like, probably in the second round, maybe quarterfinals. No, he made it to the finals along with T.J. Perkins. They beat both Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi, two of the big favorites in this whole tournament. Everyone said it's gonna be those two. We're gonna see that fight, and everyone wanted to see that fight. And they didn't do that. They threw a curve. And I was like, oh dear God. This is indeed a Triple H project. Like, Vince would just go with the obvious. And now we're getting the shock. Like, especially how it was a shock submission for Kota Ibushi. And I was also surprised that one of The Rock's cousins, I'm trying to wonder how many more cousins he has, was in this tournament, and I was thinking like, oh boy, here comes the internet jokes where people are gonna say, oh, they're gonna let him win because he's The Rock's cousin, and he gets eliminated in the first round to Kota Ibushi. So that was surprising. If there was one problem I had with this tournament is Daivari, not the original Daivari, his younger brother. I think that was his younger brother. He's from Iran. Well, at least that's what they were saying. And they portrayed him as the evil foreigner, from what I gathered. Like, I'm thinking, like, oh dear God, you are doing so well. This tournament, like, I see all the positives, and this is the one negative. Like, you can't keep going with the evil foreigner because it's Iran, they're evil. Since they hate America and whatnot, that's always the perception. Or like the government does, but we don't know about its people to an extent. Well, I don't really know. I haven't studied Iran in a long time, so I'm not going to go into politics. So, 16 countries were represented in this tournament, 32 competitors, and at the end of the day, I don't know which match was my favorite. Like, I really don't. Like, we had some emotional moments with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, Brian Kendrick and Daniel Bryan. Like, there were so many emotional moments, and while the tournament was the same format where it was basically they want to be the best, when Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa went at it, you immediately got more invested in it because it would involve their friendship and the fact that they're tag team partners and it would affect their and could affect their match. And for Brian Kendrick, he was being favored by Daniel Bryan. He was being biased. And you thought, oh, there's no way Daniel Bryan would be biased. And he really was biased, but he wasn't that obvious heel. He wasn't a heel commentator like they would obviously would have done on Raw or SmackDown. No, he was saying, well, I'm a huge fan of Brian Kendrick. He's one of my best friends, so I'm rooting for him. I'm like, so I respect these guys. Like I'm cheering for these guys as well, but I'm cheering mostly for Brian Kendrick. And I'm thinking, like, man, it's going to be glorious when Triple H takes over. And no, we're not playing the song. Like that's stuck in my head already. So I don't think it. So I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure people are gonna like say sing "Glorious" when they think about the Cruiserweight Classic. Besides Bobby Roode and his potential entrance theme at WrestleMania one day. Moving on. I was so shocked at how this tournament was going. Like, I knew it was going to be great, but I didn't expect how it all ended. Like, T.J. Perkins and Grand Metalik would be in the finals. I was not expecting that. I was expecting Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi. They were the heavy favorites in this match, so it was obvious, yeah, they're going to do that. WWE would not want to. Like, this was pretty much a dream match for a lot of people, and they wanted to see this match on WWE programming. And WWE didn't go with it. Probably because they didn't sign a contract. Like, I haven't heard any reports that they signed a contract. Grand Metalik and Kota Ibushi and Grand Metalik and TJ Perkins, they both signed deals with WWE to represent Raw's Cruiserweight division. So I was like, okay, like, you signed these guys, so that means they automatically have an advantage. That's kind of unfair to the guys who don't want to sign. Like, they should also be given the chance. Like, I got this theory the moment Triple H came out and announced the Cruiserweight title, and I was like, knew it, called it, I called it. I called it first here, people. Okay, I probably didn't call it first. I'm pretty sure everyone knew what that was going to happen since they announced the Cruiserweight division on Raw. And all the matches were great. I can't think of one bad match. Like, it's next to impossible. Like, I slacked off a bit on some of the episodes, but I rewatched them to build up to the finale. And WWE did a lot better with this cruiserweight division than WCW would ever have done. Like, could really imagine WCW doing this if they were still around today? Probably not. If they somehow fired all the egomaniacs that were running the asylum at that point. But this tournament, I cannot wait. I hope they do another one. Like this also should have been like if they took this seriously with everything else, then I'm pretty sure we would get a much better product from Raw and SmackDown. Like SmackDown, it's been doing great, but if they let what the Cruiserweight's been able to do, Raw would probably be killing it right now, and I wouldn't be complaining about the old day segment on the upcoming Clash of Champions Bill Thoughts video. Oh, I had to bring that up. So, TJ Perkins, congratulations! He's the winner of the Cruiserweight Classic and the first Cruiserweight champion. Well, at least the new one, since they're obviously since they might bring up the past Cruiserweight title that was on WWE programming. Though they might not mention Hornswoggle, since he was the last one. Oh dear God. And at least and the Cruiserweight title, it stands out. And I've been hearing rumors that if Raw's Cruiserweight division does well, then SmackDown's getting its own. So expect a SmackDown Cruiserweight Championship soon afterwards. So if WWE lets the Cruiserweights go at it like they let them do in the tournament, we're going to expect greatness. But since this isn't Triple H's world and we're going back to Vince's world, I have my doubts. I'm a pessimistic. Sue me. So everyone, those are my thoughts on the Cruiserweight Classic. You could say Season 1 or the entire tournament. We don't know if there's going to be another one. So, until next year. So, those were my thoughts on the Cruiserweight Classic 1. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.